Shalom, and welcome my brothers and sisters to another edition of the Bible Unveiled series. I am Brother Patrick Williams, and I would like to thank you for joining us. We shall be continuing from last week's lesson. Tithes belongs to the people of the Most High God. I have additional information from the Bible, of course, regarding tithes. And we shall continue in the book of Malachi, explaining how the people, how our nation was robbing the Most High God in the tithes and the offerings. So, again, thank you for joining us, and let's get started. Please turn your Bibles to Genesis chapter 14, verse 18. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High, C.I.C.CHURCH. And he blessed him and said, Blessed be Abram of the Most High, C.I.C.CHURCH, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be the Most High, C.I.C.CHURCH, which hath delivered thine enemies into thy hand. And he gave him tithes of all. And the king of Sodom said unto Abram, Give me the persons, and take the goods to thyself. And Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up my hand unto the Ahayah, the Most High, C.I.C.CHURCH, the possessor of heaven and earth, that I will not take from a thread even to a shoe latchet, and that I will not take anything that is thine, lest thou shouldest say, I have made Abram rich, save only that which the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men which went with me, Aner, Ishhol, and Mamre, let them take their portion. In Genesis chapter 14, verse 18, we see that Melchizedek, the king of Salem, brought a tithe offering of bread and wine to Abram, again proving that tithes is food. Even though Abram refused the offering of the bread and the wine, he gave it to his men instead, who went to war with him when they freed Lot from captivity. Many church leaders want to tell us that tithes is money instead of food. Using our Bible, let's follow Jacob and his sons into Egypt. Now Joseph, a son of Jacob, was already in Egypt. In fact, he was governor over the land, second only to Pharaoh. This way, we will compare food versus money and see which is more important to the people. And there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very sore, so that the land of Egypt and all the land of Canaan fainted by reason of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan for the corn which they brought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. And when the money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, Give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For the money faileth. And Joseph said, Give your cattle, and I will give you for your cattle if money fail. And they brought their cattle unto Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses, and for the flocks, and for the cattle of the herds, and for the asses. And he fed them with bread for all their cattle for that year. When that year was ended, they came unto him the second year, and said unto him, We will not hide it from my master, how that our money is spent. My master also hath our herds of cattle. There is not aught left in the sight of my master, but our bodies and our lands. Wherefore shall we die before thine eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants unto Pharaoh, and give us seed that we may live and not die, that the land be not desolate. And Joseph brought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh, for the Egyptian sold every man his field, because the famine prevailed over them. So the land became Pharaoh's. And as for the people, he removed them to cities from one end of the borders of Egypt even to the other end thereof. Only the land of the priests brought he not, for the priests had a portion assigned them of Pharaoh, and did eat their portion which Pharaoh gave them. Wherefore they sold not their lands. Then Joseph said unto the people, Behold, I have brought you this day and your land for Pharaoh. Lo, here is seed for you, and ye shall sow the land. And it shall come to pass in the increase that ye shall give them the fifth part unto Pharaoh, and 4 parts shall be your own, for seed of the field, and for your food, and for them of your household, and for food. And they said, For your little ones, thou hast saved our lives. Let us find grace in the sight of my master, and we will be Pharaoh's servants. And Joseph made it a law over the land of Egypt unto this day, that Pharaoh should have the 5th part, except the land of the priests only, which became not Pharaoh's. Because of Joseph's understanding and foreknowledge given to him by the Most High on how to collect tithes and store them, Joseph was able to save a lot of people's lives. Here are some key points to remember from Genesis chapter 47. There was very little food in the land of Egypt and Canaan. The people went to Joseph seeking bread so that they could eat. The people sold their cattle, their horses, their flocks, their asses, their land, and eventually their own bodies. Joseph stored enough food to feed the people throughout the famine. A new law was established during the time of increase. The fifth part went to Pharaoh. The fourth part went to the people. Yet, the priest was able to retain their land and their possessions. Now that we have even more insight on what tithes are, let's return to the book of Malachi and find out exactly how the people was robbing the Most High and the tithes and offerings. To refresh our memories, let's reread Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 through 10. Will a man rob Elohim? Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offerings. Ye are cursed with a curse, for ye have robbed me, even this whole nation. Bring all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house. And prove me now herewith, saith Ahayah of hosts, if I would not open you the windows of heaven, and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. May I ask you a question, my viewers? Does not Malachi chapter 3, verse 10, does it not tell us that tithes is food? Allow me to zone in on the verse for you. Bring all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in my house. That there may be meat, food in my house. I don't think there is any other clearer verse that tells us that tithes is food. Since the local church leaders love to use Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 through 10 to convince the people that we are robbing the Most High God in tithes and offerings, let's go to Malachi chapter 1, verse 12 through 13 and show exactly how the people was robbing the Most High and the tithes and the offerings. But ye have profaned it, in that ye say, the table of Ahayah is polluted, and the fruit thereof, even his meat, is contemptible. Ye said also, behold, what a weariness is it, and ye have snuffed at it, saith Ahayah of hosts, and ye have brought that which was torn, and the lame, and the sick. Thus ye brought an offering. Should I accept this of your hand, saith Ahayah? But cursed be the deceiver, which hath in his flock a male, and voweth, and sacrificeth unto Ahayah a corrupt thing. For I am a great king, saith Ahayah of hosts, and my name is dreadful among the heathen. Let's go up a few verses in Malachi chapter 1 to verse 6. And we're going to read to verse 11 to see how even the priest was profaning the tithes and the offerings of the Most High God. A son honoreth his father, and a servant his master. If then I be a father, where is mine honor? And if I be a master, where is my fear? Saith Ahayah of hosts unto you, O priest, that despise my name. And ye say, wherein have we despised thy name? Ye offer polluted bread upon my altar, and ye say, wherein have we polluted thee? And that ye say, the table of Ahayah is contemptible. And if ye offer the blind for sacrifice, is it not evil? And if ye offer the lame and sick, is it not evil? Offer it now unto thy governor. Will he be pleased with thee, or accept thy person? Saith Ahayah of hosts. And now, I pray you, beseech C.I.C.CHURCH, that he will be gracious unto us. This hath been by your means. Will he regard your persons, saith Ahayah of hosts? Who is there among you that will shut the doors for naught? Neither do ye kindle fire on my altar for naught. I have no pleasure in you, saith Ahayah of hosts. Neither will I accept an offering at your hand. From the rising of the sun, even unto the going down of the same, my name shall be great among the Gentiles, and in every place incense shall be offered unto my name, and a pure offering, for my name shall be great among the heathen, saith Ahayah of hosts. So, how was the people robbing the Most High God out of the tithes and the offerings? Because we was weary of bringing the Most High the best of the crops, the meats, which we decided to keep for ourselves, we gave him the worst. We gave him animals that was sick, deformed, diseased, when we are supposed to take the best and give it to the Most High so that we can get a blessing. Many prosperity teachers spend lots of time trying to convince you to sow $1,000, $50, $100 seed. A seed is planting the word of the Most High God into a person's spirit, telling him about the Most High God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So he can go out there, or she can go out there and plant a seed into another person and reap a harvest. That's what planting a seed is. It's not money. When the children of Israel and the priest was not cheating the Most High out of his tithes and offerings by bringing him sick, diseased, and deformed animals, they could really expect a blessing from the Most High. We could read about that blessing in Malachi chapter 3, verse 11. Malachi chapter 3, verse 11. And I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground, neither shall your vine cast her fruit before the time in the field, saith Ahayah of hosts. Malachi chapter 3, verse 12. And all nations shall call you blessed, for ye shall be a delightsome land, saith Ahayah of hosts. Not only will Israel receive the blessing of being called a delightful land by her enemies, she would receive the additional blessing of the Most High stopping the devouring spirits from destroying her crops. Devouring spirits such as locusts and other pests that destroys crops on a regular basis. And because the Most High cared for the poor, the widow, the fatherless, he gave an even additional blessing that we shall read now in Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 10. In fact, let's begin reading at Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 7, so we can get that full impact of the blessing of Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 10. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 7. For Ahayah thy Ishohim bringeth thee into a good land, a land of brooks, of waters, of fountains, and depths that spring out of valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley and vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of oil olive and honey. A land wherein thou shalt eat bread without scarceness. Thou shalt not lack anything in it. A land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills thou mayest dig brass. And here comes the major blessing reading from Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 10. When thou hast eaten and art full. Let me read that again. When thou hast eaten and art full, then thou shalt bless Ahayah, thy Elohim, for the good land which he hath given thee. What are some key points to remember from reading Deuteronomy chapter 8, verses 7 through 10? Because it was packed full of information. Number one key point. We will be in a good, blessed land. A land made for growing crops and raising livestock. A land full of valleys, streams, and rivers. Number two, we would not lack anything. There would be no scarceness of food in the land. And number three, we would bless the Most High. And we would thank him for blessing our crops, for blessing our livestock, for feeding the people, the poor, the widowless, the fatherless, the strangers, and the Levites. And when the people of the land, the Levites, the poor, the fatherless, the widows, and the strangers, when they are not hungry, there is very little resistance against the Most High. And rebellion against the Most High and his statutes, laws, and commandments would not be on the people's mind, because they would be full and satisfied. As I prepare to bring this lesson to a close and give you my final scriptures for this lesson, we shall go into the New Testament and we shall see that tithes did not too much change from the Old Testament into the New. It is still food. But before we start into the New Testament, a listener says she was watching the video and say that as she seen the pictures and reading from her Bible, what I was reading was not on the screen. Well, there's a simple explanation to her concern. The Bible I read from is entitled, hopefully you can see it, let me turn it around here. It is called the Yashaya Ahayah Bible Scriptures. The difference between her Bible and mine is all the pagan names and all the pagan titles that they use for the Most High in the King James Version of the Bible have been taken out of the Yashaya Ahayah Bible Scriptures. The Yashaya Ahayah Bible Scriptures is based on the 1761 edition of the King James Bible. This book was very hard to find, and yet it is very knowledgeable in educating us into the name of the Most High and His Son. That is why you hear me say Ahayah and Yashah or Yashaya when I'm reading from the Bible. As I said before, all the pagan names and the pagan titles such as Lord and everything else have been taken out and replaced with the real name of the Father, Ahayah, and the Son, Yashaya. Now let's get into the verse of the New Testament, Matthew chapter 23, verse 23, as we bring this lesson to a close. And don't forget, join me here next week for part 3 of Tithes Belong to the People of the Most High God. Matthew chapter 23, verse 23. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the Torah law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone. This proves again that tithes is food, because cumin, anise, and mint is spices. Thank you for joining us. Have a blessed Sabbath day. In the name of Ahayah,